Hello, my name is William Mwembe, and this is Business Time. It's a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And in the program today, we speak to Financial Market Dealers Association on the scarcity of forex in the country. What is the impact and what are the possible remedies? And also in the program, Chinese government grants Malawi a no tariff arrangement on 98% of taxable goods. That's inside Business Time. My name is William Kumwembe. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. This is Business Time and my name is William Kumwembe. In our main story in the program today, Malawi has lately been grappling with forex scarcity as mismatches between supply and demand remains way wide. Now, recent figures indicate that the trade deficit stands at $2 billion per annum. That is, Malawi is able to export commodities worth $1 billion per year compared to its imports bill, which is valued at $3 billion US dollars. Now, in a desperate attempt to address the problem, the country attempted to devalue the local currency in May 2022 by about 25%, a thing that worsened the situation on the domestic front as commodity prices were seen rising further high. Now, the question is, what needs to be done to address the problem? This is a question I posed to the president of the Financial Market Dealers Association of Malawi, FIMDA, Leslie Fachi, to find out the view of the professional bodies in as far as addressing the bottlenecks is concerned.
I think that's a question that should then propel us into thinking of what to do next. The key issue that we have always struggled with as an economy is that we are continually importing. We are continually importing and we are continually a consuming economy. Now, with that, what it means is we will continue to require foreign currency for us to be able even to eat. So, at the moment, the biggest challenge you have is we are not producing enough. First, for ourselves, for us to be able to eat, to sustain our lives. But most importantly, we would then have to graduate into exporting, because that's what everyone else is doing. The countries we're buying from are also into production, and it's that production, the excess, that they are exporting to us. So once we fix the fundamental industrial issues, then we'll be okay. But as a country, if you look at most of what we do most of the times is we look at short-term goals. I do not think we have aligned ourselves to these long-term strategic objectives. We do have the plans, but our actions do not align to these strategic plans. If we look specifically into the Malawi 2063, you'll see all these things are being respelled. We had them already in Vision 2020. We are coming back to say, let's achieve this, of course, with more focus. If we align our short-term goals into these long-term goals, then we should be able to achieve what we want. It's the implementation that is lacking. Well, anyone who comes on the podium to preach devaluation is not going to be liked by the masses. Why? I think we all understand, in an importing economy like ours, like we're saying, the moment you devalue, the first thing that will do is it will increase the cost of everything that we are importing. That's inflationary on its own. And now every local Malawian, every citizen of this country will not like to see an increase in the prices. Now the question is, we know devaluation does work, but in what kind of economy does it work? In our economy, if we devalue, what benefit do we get? So we have to look at it from both sides. We look at it on the supply side, we look at it on the demand side. On the supply side, it is assumed that we will export, we will encourage our exports. But what is it that we're exporting? Does it really warrant the devaluation? I'm not on any side to say we should devalue or not devalue, but then we should ask the right questions to say, if we devalue, what happens? Do we earn the forex that we're assuming that we're going to earn? If we devalue on the demand side, I'll take the monetary policy stance to say, when you devalue, in essence, when things become expensive, people will spend less. So it will work on the policy side. When we devalue, things will be expensive. We will manage our expenditure. and it will ease the pressure on the currency. So there are two sides to it on how we look at it. We let it to authorities and we let it to Malawians to decide which one works. Well, at this moment, I will not specifically speak to that because we do not have the statistics. But from what I just explained earlier, to say we have to look at it from two aspects. So the authorities, as you put it, we're looking at on the supply side. Now, do we have that currency that is being traded aside? Do we have it back into the system, or is it there in the first place? Now, that's a question on the supply side. On the demand side, like we said, the fact that we devalued, you and me know that it has pushed prices up. Now, people will complain, the general citizen will complain about the prices going up. But, like I said, on a policy stance, that's the bid appeal that we require, because the lesser we spend, the less pressure the currency will have. You and me will agree that at any opportunity that we get as Malawians, I think it's a matter of our appetite as well. That's one thing that we have always said we need to change. In as much as we change the policies, in as much as we change the technical aspects, we just need to change our view to things as well. So our appetite for imports. Every Malawian who gets to have a little something, the first thing that they'll think of is buying a car. Now, where is that money coming from? Now, is it that purchase of a car is going to compete with the need for fertilizer? It's going to compete with the need for medicines. So which one do we prioritize? In as much as we are saying we should not prioritize other aspects, you know, they also affect the livelihood for someone, because someone is trading cars, is importing cars because that's their livelihood. So the moment you stop that, it also affects their life. But then we have to look at the whole holistic picture to say, what is it that we want to achieve? For a shorter period, we're going to go through some pain, but so long as we know what we want to achieve.
Now, the Chinese government has granted a no-tariff arrangement on 98% of taxable goods coming from Malawi and other least developed countries. Minister of Trade and Industry spokesperson Maiso Msogera has confirmed the development. Msogera said this will help Malawi's products to be more competitive on the international market, specifically on the Chinese market. He caught up with our journalist Justin Mkweu, who has filed this report.
From December 1 this year, 98% taxable products from Malawi and 9 other least developed countries are enjoying zero tariff treatment if their products are exported to China. The other countries include Afghanistan, Benin, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, Lesotho, Tanzania, Uganda, and Zambia. According to a statement from the China's Customs Tariff Commission of the State Council, this is in a bid to promote an open global economy. The statement says that the step is conducive to opening up with win-win outcomes, building an open global economy, and helping least developed countries to accelerate their development. Ministry of Trade and Industry spokesperson Maiso Msogera said in an interview that this means that there will be easy access of Malawian products in China because they will be landing at a cheaper price without being subjected to tariffs. He added that this is important for Malawi because it is another access opportunity which will eventually promote exports of products for Malawi, bringing in the much needed foreign exchange. Malawi has seen similar opportunities before where a market has been found on the international arena, but the private sector has not been able to satisfy the demand, such as the South Sudan deal. Msogera acknowledged such challenges, but was quick to ask the private sector to intensify their effort in production and work in groups rather than individuals.
Well, indeed, the government of China has actually granted LDCs or less developed countries, including Malawi, access to their market for about 98% of product lines which are going to be exported to the market of China duty-free. And this is important for countries like Malawi because it now opens up more opportunities, more access to the Chinese market, which previously used to subject our products to various rates of tariffs and the duties. And they would like to call upon the private sector to take advantage of these market access opportunities that various developed countries are granting Malawi. This would be similar to other unilateral preferential trade arrangements that we have with the US government, for example, under the AGOA, but also with the EU under the Everything But Arms, as well as with the UK under the UK GSP. So this is an opportunity for our private sector to expand and diversify markets. And this will give an opportunity for our products to, go into the world with the addition of the government of China also granting, preferential market access for Malawi. So we are happy, we are delighted as a ministry. We will continue to raise more awareness to the private sector to take advantage of these market access opportunities. The biggest challenge has been mainly to, produce more products that can get into the international market. And we know government is trying its best to enhance the productivity of our private sector by, among other things, establishing things like the mega farms. And they would like to call upon the private sector to also explore, ways in which they can jointly supply these markets, because sometimes to supply independently, you may not be in a position to meet the needed demand. So let's also explore ways in which we can jointly supply such kind of markets, which really needs huge volumes to also, complement the effort of government of enhancing the productivity of our economy in terms of enhancing a production of various value chains.
Fortune Gardens Investments processes and adds value to locally produced groundnuts for the export market. The company's chief executive officer, Ellen Gunda, welcomed the development, indicating that it will reduce costs on exports to China, thereby making Malawi's products competitive. Gunda added that what is required now is to have direct links to the markets which need products from Malawi, so that Malawian companies are able to know volumes to produce and other negotiations. She said that government organizations such as the Malawi Trade and Investment Center need to facilitate direct links to the markets as those in China, so that Malawians are able to make negotiations and produce what is required. Even though Malawi is a heavily importing and consuming nation, it has products, especially in the agriculture sector, that it exports, with tobacco as the main export earner, followed by tea and sugar.
Now, the ministry says the Mchinji One border post will reduce by 7% time and cost that traders incur when processing goods at the border post. This comes as President Lazarus Chakwera and his Zambian counterpart Hakainde Hichilema are set to commission the border post on Wednesday. Our journalist Justin Mkweu caught up with Minister of Trade spokesperson Maisom Sokera.
His Excellency Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera and his counterpart Mr. Hakainde Hichilema will be officially commissioning the Mchinji Mwami One-Stop Border Post facility in Mchinji. This is a facility that has been constructed with support from the African Development Bank, of course, also with the support from other partners that have supported a number of interventions. And this is an important event because it will mark the commissioning of the facility that will help facilitation of seamless trade between Malawi and Zambia, and even beyond the region. We are looking at the SADC as well as the COMESA region. The One-Stop Border Post facility is a trade facilitation instrument that is going to significantly support the reduction of delays at the border. It will bring efficiency in terms of the operations at the border. We do expect that we should achieve about 70% reduction in terms of time delays that were associated with the border procedures, because the concept requires that travelers as well as cross-border traders should only stop once. So we have two facilities, one on the Zambian side and one on the Malawi side. And the procedure will be such that if you are traveling, say, to Zambia, you just stop on the Zambian side, and in the Zambian facility, there will be Malawi authorities who are going to facilitate, exit formalities, and then they'll be able to hand over our traders as well as travelers.
Remember, this is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. My name is William Kumwembe. Moving on with the program, the Competition and Fair Trading Commission has fired a warning shot against collusion in various industry associations in the country. This came out during the World Competition Day commemoration in Blantyre on Monday. The commemorations were held under the theme Competition Policy and Misuse of Market Power. Our journalist Chimwemwe Mangazi has the whole story.
One of CFTC commissioners, Zach Kawalala, says enterprises, including small and medium scale, are facing several challenges that emanate from abusive and anti-competitive conduct by enterprises who hold market power, which affects consumers in terms of the quality, price, and availability of goods and services offered. He says the Commission is concerned when an enterprise uses power to influence the market dynamics to the detriment of competitors, adding that in some situations, an enterprise with market power may prevent or restrict a competitor's access to an essential input.
In any economy, you can easily have enterprises that are bigger than others and can even determine price setting and the like, and therefore use their market dominance, market power to abuse the dynamics of competition, and even cause other small players or upcoming enterprises never to have any chance. So our concern is that where there is competition, we should allow it to flourish. And therefore, by allowing it to flourish, by the end of the day, it is the consumer that will benefit, because the flourishing of competition will ensure that there is a quality in services, there is quality in the products that come up in the market, and the beneficiary becomes the consumer by the end of the day.
Acting Manager Enforcement and Exceptions Division at the COMESA Competition Commission, Siboni Selizulu Maseko, says Malawi was doing good in competition and fair trading as compared to its peers in the region.
You will recall that the Competition and Fair Trading Act was promulgated in 1998, and that the Competition and Fair Trading Commission started operating around 2013. In that time, what we have seen is that in that 10 years of operation, we've seen the Competition and Fair Trading Commission being very brave in their enforcement of the law. They are going after big companies. They are penalizing companies for their anti-competitive conduct. And this is a signal to the market that if you break the law, you will face the full force of the law. So we would like to congratulate Malawi and the CFTC on its efforts to enforce the law. We do realize that the law is currently under review, and we hope that the review will give the CFTC more powers that it needs, more autonomy to implement the act and to enforce against anti-competitive conduct.
Director of SMEs in the Ministry of Trade, Whiskas Nkombezi, says there has been a lot of strides made in the implementation of competition policy, but also there is still more that needs to be done.
What we encourage is that where such issues have been noted, a formal complaint should be lodged with the Commission. The Commission is so independent, it will gather all the evidence and facts and make sure the other side is also held, and then make its determination. You have seen the Commission making determinations before, and these are enforceable by law. The courts have made sure that those that violate the law should pay for that. People can be imprisoned for that. Fines have been paid even by big enterprises. So the only problem that we have noted is that many people don't report these things wherever they are or whenever they have seen or observed that these things are happening.
The World Competitions Day was commemorated under the theme Competition Policy and Misuse of Market Power.
Now, in other business news, there are now chances that the country could maximize export earnings following discovery of a new market for Malawi products in Malaysia. This is according to Malawi Investment and Trade Center's Chief Executive Officer, Paul Kwengwere. He caught up with our journalist, Chimwemwe Mangazi.
Malaysia is a perfect gateway access to the Asian market because of its locality. And then apparently the government of Malaysia hosted Africa Expo 2022, the first ever business-to-business trade show dedicated for African business owners and business professionals, basically to showcase their products. So during that particular week, there were several activities that took place, featuring exhibitions, B2B meetings, business-to-business meetings, and a business summit which focused on different sectors, including agriculture, mining, education, construction, food, beverages, and so forth.
What transpired from this conference, this meeting? Are there any opportunities that Malawi could seize from there?
We went there with a number of private sector companies, and we did indeed found the meeting quite positive. In terms of investments, there was quite an interest for investors to actually come to Malawi. We had leads or interest of over $160 million in manufacturing, real estate, and energy. There were also export leads of over $362 million. Actually, we went there with companies like Oxfam, which showcased their products, including rice, dal, and we also did take different products, including sugar, coffee, beans, groundnuts. So the $362 million were basically around those products. There were also other general interests across the board, including areas like tourism, transportation sector, especially for air transport, and then general agriculture related investments.
Malawi, through the MITC, has participated in such initiatives, but there's little to show on what we gain from such meetings. Why is this the case? This is witnessed by the continued foreign exchange shortages rocking the country. Why is this the case?
We shouldn't forget that we had a lapse period of 2 years where we had COVID. Now, after COVID, we've had quite a number of interests coming in. From last year to this year, we've generally got lots of interest. You remember there was a Dubai Expo 2020, and then there were several other expos taking place in Europe, South Africa. Now, what usually happens is when people express interest to come to Malawi, let's say to invest, it takes a bit of time for the investors actually for the investments to materialize. For example, let's say somebody wants to come to Malawi, has got an interest in Malawi to come up and open a huge manufacturing company. It will take maybe even a year or two, and talk about maybe energy plant in Malawi, or even solar plant or hydro plant might take even 4 years or 5 years.
Well, that interview also brings us to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. Stay safe and always remember, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.